What if I told you that over 400 years ago, a Sri Lankan prince, heir to the throne of Kandy, was betrayed, exiled, and erased from Lankan history? But instead of returning with an army to reclaim his kingdom, he took an entirely unexpected path, one that led him across the seas to Portugal, not as a prince, but as a Catholic priest. And here's the most astonishing part. This prince didn't just vanish into obscurity after he moved to Portugal. He built a church in Lisbon, a structure that still stands today, the only building in Europe ever constructed by a Sri Lankan royal. So, who was this mysterious prince, and how did he go from a rightful heir to a kingdom to an architect of faith in a distant land? Let's unravel the incredible story of Dom Joa, who was known as the Black Prince of Kandy. Our story takes us back to 16th century Sri Lanka, or Ceylon as it was known under the Portuguese. This was a time when the island was fragmented into warring kingdoms, and the Portuguese were ruthlessly expanding their influence. In 1592, the Portuguese installed Dom Philip Jayasinghe Bandara on the Kandian throne, hoping to solidify their grip over the island. But this was a game of thrones and betrayal. Dom Philip died just a year later, leaving behind a 12-year-old son, Dom Joa, the rightful heir who became known as the Black Prince. But fate had other plans. A powerful Sinhalese nobleman named Konnappu Bandara seized the throne, renamed himself as King Vimaladharma Surya, and crushed away all his rebels. Young Dom Joa and his royal family fled for their lives. The boy who should have been king was now an orphan in exile. Seeking protection, Dom Joa and his grandmother sought refuge with the Franciscan missionaries, first in Vahakotte, then in Mana, and eventually in Colombo. But in a politically volatile Sri Lanka, no place was safe for a royal exile. The Portuguese, realizing the strategic importance of this prince, swiftly smuggled him out of the island. Was it to protect his life, or was it a calculated move to prevent him from ever reclaiming his throne by siding with the enemies of the Portuguese? By the time Dom Joa was a teenager, he had been whisked away to Goa, along with another royal exile, Nikapitiya Bandara, alias Dom Philip, the grandson of Sitavaka Rajasinghe. For 15 years, the exiled Sri Lankan princes lived in Goa, not as future kings, but as Catholic priests in training. Now, was this truly their own choice, or was it yet another calculated move by the Portuguese, a way to ensure these royals, once destined to rule, would never pose a threat to their colonial ambitions? What do you think? Anyway, getting back to our story, their time in Goa wasn't permanent. In 1609 or 1610, an even greater twist awaited them. The Portuguese crown summoned them to Lisbon. There they were welcomed with honor, given royal lodgings, and even provided with an annual royal grant. But was this hospitality genuine, or was it a golden cage ensuring that these Sri Lankan princes would never set foot in their homeland again? Dom Philip chose to move to Coimbra to further his education, and he eventually died there a few years later. Dom Joa, on the other hand, took a different path. He chose to remain in Lisbon, where he was ordained as a Catholic priest. And then in 1625, he did something no Sri Lankan royal had ever done before. He built a church, that too in Portugal. Located in Telheiras, Lisbon, this church, Our Lady of the Gate of Heaven, was a testament to his gratitude towards the Franciscan missionaries who had saved him. To this day, an inscription above the doorway acknowledges that it was built by the Prince of Kandy. But here's an even bigger mystery. What was Dom Joa's true role in Portugal? Was he the truly devoted priest who abandoned his claim to the Kandian throne? Or was he a prisoner in disguise, kept in the good graces of the Portuguese to prevent him from returning to Sri Lanka and rallying his people? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And let's not forget, the Portuguese were notorious for looting Sri Lanka. So while they provided Dom Joa with an annual grant, they had already plundered far more from his homeland. Dom Joa lived the rest of his life in Portugal, dying at the age of 64 in April 1642. His royal bloodline was lost to history, but his footprint in Portugal is still visible today. Did the Portuguese save him or strategically remove him from picture to tighten their grip on Sri Lanka? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love historical mysteries, untold stories, and forgotten royals, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, this is me, Zameer Careem, signing off, uncovering history one story at a time.